Welcome to another episode on Amvukisha. Our tagline, as usual, own your story. So today, I have an amazing guest for you guys. A journalist, a trained journalist, used to work for KTN in the past, now works for the County Government of Nyeri. If you've been watching Amvukisha, there's one thing you might not know, that I bring guests here, people that I admire, people that I want to learn something from, people that I enjoy connecting with, people with stories that resonate with me and what I love, and people who can sometimes challenge my view of the world and show me a different perspective, because that's how I learn. And I find that I learn best while I'm having conversations with people that I respect, that I look up to, people who have opinions that are shaped uh, sometimes by academia or by hard-won lived experiences, either or, hopefully both. And Carol has both, which is why I'm really excited to be having this conversation today. You get to hear from her training, but also her experiences both in media and in the county government. But also, I love to know what people care about at a personal level. And we're going to hear a lot of that today, because Carol loves wellness, whole living, and taking care of herself. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope this is valuable to you as it is for me. Hi,
Right.
Carol.
Hi, Cube. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah, a bit of rain, a bit of hectic work schedule, but I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you
Thanks
for being here
having me.
finally.
Asante.
It's I've
Yeah.
not chased a guest down as hard as I've chased you.
Oh my,
So you are.
it's just been crazy,
Uh-huh.
but of course I had to show up. So and I'm glad I'm here, and thank you for having me in
Thank you.
Amvukisha today.
Thank you so much for showing up.
Awesome.
I've already introduced you,
Yeah.
but I would love for you to introduce yourself. That's everything I've said. That as much as I know about you.
Yeah.
And today, this episode, I'm hoping to get to know more about you, because you see me do podcasting. I enjoy this stuff, but zero training and very little experience. So just bumping my way as I move ahead.
But that intro had such a punch. Done a good job with the intro.
It did.
Yeah, and you seem to
Thank
have
you.
the passion for podcasting. Yeah, you're eloquent. Yeah, it's flowing.
Thank you.
It's
Speaking of
flowing.
passion, let's start
Yeah.
with yours. And I want to start fast before we come to the lifestyle stuff.
All right.
Just like your passion for, you're a trained journalist, you've worked with KTN, you built a very strong profile with KTN that allowed you to get the job that you currently have with the County Government of Nyeri. And you just like a go get it girl. And
Very humbling.
yeah, there's a
Thank
lot
you
of
for the
passion there.
compliment. Yeah, thank you for that
But
compliment.
maybe
Yeah.
if you were to introduce yourself up to where you are, where would you start for someone who wants to get to know who's Carol? Why should I listen to her?
All right. Thank you, Q. Just going with your cue. I am Carol. I am a journalist, but currently a civil servant, if you could say so. I worked in Standard Media Group for what felt like forever. I started working for Standard in 2007 and stayed all the way up to 2012 when I was posted to Nyeri, just ahead of elections, to stand in and ensure that this region got proper coverage in terms of elections, because of course elections, the coverage, I think, get pretty intense. So that was the 2013 elections. And I was a Kiswahili and English reporter, particularly doing features, human interest stories. And why I'm singling out, I was both an English and Kiswahili reporter, is because traditionally media houses would get either, it's hard to find somebody who's bilingual in that sense. You're either an English reporter or a Kiswahili reporter. It's like the two people don't expect them to merge. So I must say, actually, what gave me the job mostly was Kiswahili. And then, of course, there was that little bit about one person doing both. So you don't have to hire two people. And of course, that is a good thing for the profits of the companies since they're not paying two people. But I see people sort of demonize Kiswahili or look at it as an inferior language or a lower cadre language, lugha ya watu wa tabaka za chini. Sorry to say, but people perceive it's for, you know, I don't want to single out any profession, but it is seen a certain way. So we don't even encourage our children to read Kiswahili storybooks. You always buy them English storybooks. But I did get the job because of Kiswahili. And the constitution that was passed in 2010 Initially, we had English as the superior language. It was the official language, then Kiswahili was national. But now the constitution leveled the two. So it termed both languages of equal stature. So that's a good thing. So I'm talking about that particularly. I've actually co-authored a Kiswahili book, and it's a short stories, and my short story is Salamu za Kushoto. The book is Vazi la Mhudumu. So I'm just highlighting that we need to take Kiswahili a little bit more seriously than we do as a nation, and it is not to be seen as a language for watu wa tabaka za chini, watu fulani wale. So let's encourage our kids to read books while also, of course, improving their English. I'm actually speaking in English as I highlight Kiswahili because now I am not actively in the media. As you've mentioned and during your introduction, I am working at the press office for the county government. So my work, I write speeches, mostly for the boss, that's the governor, press releases, just write-ups. And I'm doing them in English, but I'm just highlighting that Kiswahili got me the job. So I have been a journalist for what feels like forever. And even now, because people ask, why did you leave mainstream? I feel like even what I'm doing, just that it's in a different sphere, it's still part of journalism in some broad sense. Yeah, because what I'm doing, my JD entails work that is very relatable to communication, to PR, to journalism. Yeah, but I miss it. I miss being on the screen. I still weirdly, it's been so many years, but I still get calls about people. I think they saved me as Katie and Carol. They're calling to tell me of a job somewhere. Well, we have this, we need a press conference, or there's a fire here, there. So I direct them to then the journalists who are actually my friends who are in the media. Yeah, it's been quite a ride. Yeah. So basically, professionally, that's it. And what else had you asked me, Cube?
No, actually, when I asked you to
Yeah.
introduce yourself, and I'm
Yeah.
glad I did because
Yeah.
where you went
Yeah.
is not where I would have thought you'd go.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that you have such an intimate relationship with the Kiswahili language.
Yeah.
And I have struggled with Swahili all my life.
A lot of people do. I don't know why. They say it's hard. But anyway, I think there's something for everybody because I was very bad at math, for example. I think we can't all be same. There's someone anabobea huku kwa sciences, huyu anabobea hapa, huyu anabobea. We can't be the same. We can't have equal expertise. So it's
How did
just
you pick
great.
up Kiswahili?
Imagine it's the one we learned in school because I've never lived in Mombasa apart from visiting because people then would think maybe I lived in Coast and then I got to love the language. No, it's just what we learned in school. So I got an affinity for the language. Ile ya shule tu. So same way somebody gravitated towards chemistry or English or history or so I gravitated towards Kiswahili and English to a large extent. Hence why now, as I was saying, I got the job for being both an English and Kiswahili reporter. But beyond that, beyond being able to communicate, because that is not what measures journalism. You can't say because you're good at both languages. It's a start. But my interest was human interest stories, stories that touch people, like what you're doing, Cube. This podcast, I'm sure, besides what I've heard you say, you want to connect with people, you want to understand people, and that's a really, really good platform to do that, your podcast. But also the stories that tell stories of people. When you're a voice for the voiceless, it's a big responsibility. Yeah, so I didn't gravitate so much towards political stories, but I had to, even today, weirdly, despite working in a political office, I understand politics because I had to, and also my job required me to understand. As a journalist, you are supposed to know what is happening. You have to have a grasp of things because then how are you communicating things you yourself don't understand?
True.
But I don't really think it's my cup of tea even today. There's a lot, but I have a good grasp of it, and it's important. Politics is important because everything runs through that. It's not just in Kenya, the world. I mean, people vie, people run for seats. Today we have the Tanzanian elections. Mama Samia Suluhu.
Yeah.
A lot is being said on that front about her presidency. And you see, as a woman now, us girl children, girl child, we are also being spotlight. I mean, there's a spotlight being shown on us as how do women presidents behave? Because Africa, we haven't had many of those.
No.
We have the Namibian one, Nandwa.
And
Yes, so now, yes, Salif. Actually, Salif was the first one, Liberia.
Yeah.
So today we have Samia, and a lot has been said about her. But let's see how the elections will be. The outcome, though, well,
what do you say of her yourself, like a female president?
Mm-hmm.
what do you say of a female president? I would have loved to see a female president in Kenya.
Yeah, we almost had one. I mean, 2022, if elections had gone a different way,
Yeah.
God rest Raila's soul in peace. But had he been president, then that would have meant Karua would have been a president right now. It would have been interesting to see. Women, we've come a long way. I don't think I'm a feminist. People think I'm very extroverted and I've actually been told I'm imposing and intimidating. I don't know how.
Really?
I think maybe it's a facade. You know, there's a sura ya kazi you
I find you very
put.
approachable and warm.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear that, Cube.
No, but why are people saying that about you? Which face
Maybe,
do you show at work?
no, I think maybe it's also a perception. See, like you say, somebody, I'm glad you think I'm approachable and warm because I do believe, you know, self-awareness is important. I do believe I'm what you have described, but I do get a group of people who think maybe in meetings I appear a certain way. Like even now, nimenyonga, okay, sina tie, but I'm in a suit, so people are like, maybe I come across as intimidating, but it's just part of the work. It's just part of the work. Yeah. So female president, as saying, would have been interesting to see Karwa
Yeah.
and her presidency. I mean, we know her from her past portfolios, but patriarchy, we are in a space now where we are also seeing women as able and capable. So I was explaining that I am not a feminist in the sense of the word. What I like to see myself as is a championer of women's rights. Maybe thin line between being a feminist.
Yeah.
A feminist, well, Cubo, when you hear of a feminist, what do you think? Let me throw it back at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't bring your journalism here. Today
No,
you're
no,
the
no.
guest, but okay, I'll humor you.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
For me,
Yeah.
I think I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
And because for me, a feminist is someone who believes in the equality of the sexes.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe, actually, I've found that when I've been in relationships and I've thought that for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the equality, I tend to get hurt really badly.
Oh,
Because then
yeah.
it's also possible for one to play weak and then be manipulative in that way. But when I remember that, no, don't pretend you're weak, Carol. We are equal. Or if you're working, it's sort of like, nope, we are equal here. Whatever you're going through, I'm going through as a human being.
I'm glad I've deflected that question back to you to hear
That's my
what your thoughts
perspective.
are. Okay.
So I am a feminist, proudly so.
Right. Okay. I think maybe it's because largely that term has been cast in a negative light. There's a lot of negative connotation when you hear the word feminist, like this fierce and accommodating woman who just has no chills. I mean, it's not always cast in good lights. But somebody like Chimamanda, she's one of my favorite authors. Chimamanda Adichie, the Nigerian author, I love her. She's a proud feminist and says, you know, there's a place for women, and if you can't do anything, never let it be said it's because you're a woman. That shouldn't be a factor of consideration. But why I was saying I may not describe myself so much as that is that I also believe in gender roles. I believe there are things that maybe it's a bit of tradition that are into their feminine energy and some are into their masculine energy.
Yeah.
So I am a champion of women's rights and women's spaces, women leadership, women doing the most. Yeah. So it would be interesting to have a woman president. And I think one day we shall have that. We were this close as a country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good space. You have girls.
I'm
Cube.
raising girls, so I have to be
Yeah.
really interested in women affairs.
Exactly.
Because sometimes I wonder,
Yeah.
in what world am I raising them?
Yeah.
And what beliefs am I raising them to have? And of course, I want them to feel empowered and to feel that whatever they can aim for, whatever in life, whatever
Right.
position they see that they admire.
That they are able to do that and they are capable and they have everything that it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because why even, let's underline this women bit, my own experience, maybe I wasn't going to bring it up, but when I joined the county, because of a political office, and you hear your name being mentioned in certain quarters and you're being sexualized, and I'd ask, if I was a man, would you be sustaining those rumors? No. You'd say, maybe people would say you paid your way through the job, or it wouldn't be anything sexual. So then these same men, you'd ask them, you have daughters at home, don't you? You are bringing them up. You're working so hard to pay their school fees. Like Kinawashon, they start school, but you're doing everything you can to ensure these girls are growing up, as you have said.
Yeah.
exposed in the right environment, when they get those leadership positions, how will you feel as their father when it is said that they got this position or this job because of ABCD? You know what people say.
I'll be heartbroken.
Yeah, it's very disheartening.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that women are taking up their space. So I or any other woman in a certain position, please, it's not because you slept your way through it. Of course, siwezi kata maybe kunao ufanya hivyo, but that cannot be a blanket condemnation or castigation on all women.
Who rise?
Yeah, but it's, I think because we're in a patriarchal society.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then there's something, I know you're coming to something I'm very curious about at a
Yeah.
very personal level.
Yeah.
Because what you're coming to,
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about politics and the patriarchy,
Yeah,
you're
right.
coming to the question of power.
Mm-hmm.
Because power itself, for me, sometimes I like to think now, because I've been very ignorant of politics for a very long time, and then I realize that, oh, there's such a concept as power itself, and there are people who are very, the same way some people are interested in wealth and getting rich, there are people who are interested in power itself and getting it, and once they get it, in sustaining it and in creating structures and systems that allow them to retain all the power they've gotten. And when you think about women and power and how power also treats women, why do you think our society is the way it is with the patriarchy and the feminism and like the sexualization of women when they get into power?
Okay. I think, thank you for that question, Kip. I think let me start with just the notion of power. I'm a yogi. A yogi is someone who does yoga. So I believe a lot in Ayurveda. It's an alternative world of medicine and science, but just a different field from the conventional one we know of. So, I mean, remember even Baba, when we had news that he had died, he had gone to an Ayurvedic hospital in India. So, Ayurveda is a different way of living, but health oriented. They talk about what time you should sleep, what you should eat. Basically, stuff we hear just different because it's very Indian based, but there is something they got right about keeping diseases at bay and all that. So Ayurveda. But why I'm going to Ayurveda, there are 3 personality types in Ayurveda. You have heard of the 5 elements of air, water, fire, right? Earth,
Water.
yeah. So in Ayurveda, there's people who are, or there are people who are fire oriented. They have a lot of fire just by disposition. Wako hivyo. And there are those who are more earthy. They are the nurturing ones, the loving ones. So there's an advantage to this and a disadvantage to that. So let me go back to the fire ones, the ones with fire. These in Ayurveda are even known as the town mayors, in that they're the leaders. A lot of leaders are fire oriented. It's called Pitta. So we have Pitta, Kapha, and Vata. Vata is the air, Kapha is the earth, and Pitta is the fire. So a lot of leaders, even if our president, for example, Ruto, may not have heard of Ayurveda or know what it's about, I can clearly tell he's a fire. Because to be a leader, sometimes it's also about your personality. Are you able to take up certain positions? Are you a leader? Are you able to lead? Do you have a voice that can direct, that can influence? So a lot of people who are leaders in Ayurveda, and I believe, not even I believe, I did a test and my yoga teacher was trying to make me see what personality I am. And you know, sometimes life does that thing to us where you go through certain challenges that make you subdue yourself, unaji, you know, like,
Silence your own voice.
yes, because you see, when you speak, you're perceived a certain way. When you're dominant, you're causing a lot of threats to some people and all that. But she said, go back to your childhood. What kind of a child were you? And do you remember? Because children are real, they're true. Like, yeah, I was that kid who was a leader. You'd be the one rallying all the kids. And you realize you were built with fire. So now, back to your question about power. Women who want power and take up power, those who are genuinely in leadership. You see, now, to be a leader in a political space, it means you have to throw yourself in your heart in the ring, campaign, want this seat, but fight for it. So you have to go through that route. And politics, mshindane, mtuangane, until ultimately we emerge a winner. So power then in that case, that's the only route then you have to go through. You have to go through politics to get to that point of leadership. But I'd hope then that your intentions are noble, they're pure, that you want to lead, that you want to make a change, you want to bring positive change to the people you're leading. Because it would be very sad then for some of those who are in power, got there because they want to, it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Or pesa, like grab as much as I can for myself. Very little about you changing lives of the people you're leading. So that is wrong. But those women who genuinely seek those leadership positions and they're in it for good reasons, that is to impact people they are leading, then by all means that should be encouraged. Yeah, it's a rough terrain for women. It's tough, like the sexualization I was talking about. I think every woman in certain positions, in certain fields, at one point or another, you've had to deal with such stories which are very disheartening, but unakuwa waro ngumu and you get used to that. It's a price to pay for being in a certain area of influence. So yeah. And
Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think,
yeah,
like, why?
it's a patriarchal society in that it's male dominated and has been for a while. And I don't want to cast the blame to the men, because sometimes the women are also caught up in these issues of bringing their fellow women down. It's just that we haven't seen women leaders traditionally, apart from Wango wa Makeri, who na mnajua venye mlifanya boy child. You know the story about Wango? Ati all the men schemed to impregnate Wango and her cabinet. Samuelin, you know that story? Wango wa Makeri.
I haven't heard that
She was a woman leader,
Yeah.
a Kikuyu woman leader, very strong,
That part
like the
I know.
Karuas of this world.
Yeah.
Lakini the men were not happy. So the story goes. Sijui kama ni story ya jaba, ama ni folklore, ama ni myth.
Yeah.
Ati all the men wakakaa chini wakasema zi. They planned to impregnate all the women to slow them down, to subdue that female dominance. Na hivyo ndio ikaendanga. Wango wa Makeri leadership yake kashuka, kashika ball. Sijui cabinet yake, like, kwani it was one day conception. Anyway, there's a story like that. I don't know if it's true or not. Yeah, but historically we haven't had women come out. I mean, your roles were predefined for you.
Yeah.
Kazi yako ni kunacha watoi, kuzaa, kula, kupika nini, but the decision maker is the man. The one who does the most in terms of authority or power is the man. So coming from that, it's changing, but we are still not yet there. So your question about why does that happen is because, yeah, traditionally patriarchy has dominated. And maybe, I mean, from Sikuza Adam, he's the dude, yeah? But no, you, like we've said, you have two girls you're educating, you want them to be women of influence, women of authority, women who own their space. That's what you want for your girls. Women who make a change. Not forgetting they're women, but also women who assert themselves. So that we are moving into a better place than where we were before. And as we're saying, we have Salif Johnson, the first female president in Africa. You have Nandwa in Namibia, Suluhu, in as much as she got into the seat when the president Magufuli died.
Yeah.
Today she's vying. Like I said, a lot is being said, but the point is she's probably going to be elected as president in her own right, as elected, not Atiali inherit Kitty. So yeah, in a few years, maybe we may not even be here. We may be here or not to see it, but I'm seeing a future where now women just, like you said, are able to do what a man can do. Yeah. It's societal, it's cultural.
And I have 3 daughters I'm raising. I have my late sister's daughter that I adopted, that we raised with just together.
So chati, girls can do this, can't do this. No, you let them do it.
Yeah. It's challenging for me as a man also, because sometimes I wonder what it is that a man loses when he admits that equality. And for me, it seems commonsensical that, I can say I'm a man, but more truthfully, I can say I'm a human being. And so are you. And I know that in that sense...
You know, you're a rare breed with that perspective.
How so?
Do you think most men harbor that school of thought?
Why not?
I think most think they're superior to the women.
Where does that come from? Why do men need
Patriarchy,
that?
Samulin. Where does that come from?
What's that? What's
Where
patriarchy?
the Ndumes think they are more. Is it? I think it's traditional, it's cultural.
Yeah.
Yeah. The king, we didn't have many queens. The queen was a queen because she's married to the king,
Yeah.
not in her own right or in her own capacity. Yeah. So, but things are moving. Even our children, how we raise them. You see, you give a girl a doll, you give the boy a car, toy.
Yeah.
Why can't you give this girl, a baby girl, mbona usimbaie toy car?
True.
Because unampe doli unamwambia, sijasema asipewe doli, but what message are you communicating? For example, in an instance where you have two kids.
Yeah. You
Boy,
take care
girl.
of kids.
This one you give a toy, this one you give a doll. And why can't you, okay, if you give the dude a doll, people will talk, nini, mambo ya alphabet, tusiende huko sana. But the point is, you can give your girl child a toy car.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not just the doll. Yeah. She's a nurturer, yes. She's a mother to be, akitaka.
Yeah.
But cannot now define them by these traditional gender roles. Yeah. You do what you want to do. Believe in yourself, have the confidence and the boldness to believe that you can do what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you've thought so hard about this stuff.
No, it's just coming. See, podcast wasema tu ina flow.
Yeah. No, we flow on this podcast.
Hata sikuwa na job naongea juu ya nini.
Thank you for continuing to watch this episode. I'm really enjoying myself. I'm having a blast. This conversation has gone into an area that I need to be educated. I really need to be educated on power, on politics, on the lived experiences that our girls are having, and even when they grow into women, the experiences they're having in the society we've constructed for ourselves and for them. Because as Carol has mentioned, I'm a dad, 3 girls, and so that means I need to figure this out. And where better to learn stuff like that than from a woman who's lived it and who's made it. So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to go into other passions. Wellness, wholeness, taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sticking with us. We are back. I'm still excited. When we stopped, we were talking about patriarchy, power, politics, gender, and everything that comes with being a successful woman in today's society. And we are back. We want to go into the wellness and wholeness. But before we go to that, Carol,
Yes, Cube.
I told you that I find you warm and approachable, and you told me that's not the experience other people are telling you.
Yeah.
And as I think about it in the sense of you being a woman and having lived through certain rumors, certain sexualization, does it ever occur to you that, or do you ever feel like sometimes you have to hide that warm, approachable part of you at work? Just
because
to save yourself from...
it can be easily misconstrued. Yes, indeed. That's why I said I'm really glad that at first glance, at first interaction with me, you thought I'm approachable and warm because, as you've rightly said, that's not usually the experience I have. People who get to know me after we have engaged is when they see, oh, kumbe unakwaga hizi, kumbe unakwaga hivi, kumbe unakwanga tu mse fiti, kunukana kwa hapa, sijui mara unakaa mapedho, kahuana, ohana, what, you know? But back to it, sometimes it's sasa ukichekacheka sana na watu as a woman, it's misconstrued that either you're not serious ama you're flirting, could be anything under the sun. So sometimes you have to wear a mask, you have to put on a facade to protect you and project you in a certain way for you to be taken seriously. You sit at meetings, ile inaitagwa table of men. Umewahi sikia inaitwa table of women? But there are women that table, but inaitwa table of men. Ona sasa, the patriarchy you're talking about. But anyway,
Yeah.
so you want to be perceived a certain way. You see people say women are emotional when they become leaders and a lot of emotions are what. But sometimes, see, fine, we're emotional in a sense because we are nurturers, and actually women leaders who tap into that and are being caring. It's not a bad thing to be perceived as emotional. See, it's usually put it in a bad, it's cast in bad light that you're temperamental, you're moody, leo nakuongelesha, kesho sikuongeleshi. Not necessarily. The emotional bit of women, positively, is that even before they make decisions, they weigh consequences. They look into the wellness of people. Like, let me give an example. I am a team leader where I work. Na mi huwaambia, na Samolina hata ni mabeshte zao. Naweza wauliza kama ni ukweli ama uongo. I don't like them thinking that, or getting to a point where unajua most people are working in very toxic workplaces. Unaamka hivi kama ni Monday, ukikumbuka kwenye unaenda job, man, kiubu nasikia unaweza ujinyonge basi badala ya kwenda huko. Personally, what I can control, I may not control a lot of things in the grand scheme of things. But hapa kwa 4 walls zetu za press office, I try to make them as comfortable as I possibly can. Let me not be the cause of your mental health issues. Because a lot of people have them because of their boss. Let me, as Carol, not be the one who's making you, ukikumbuka kwenye unaenda, asubuhi, unaumwa na kichwa automatic. Wacha vitu zingine zikustress, but not who you're answering to as a supervisor. And leaders, people who have been privileged enough to have that position of leadership, please, wacha kutesa watu, be nice. Of course, you have your weaknesses as a person, but don't be the cause of the mental anguish your teammates have or people under you have, courtesy of you. But anyway, the masking, yeah, it's a real thing. Sometimes you just have to wear it in certain instances to protect yourself and to project yourself in a certain way. So sometimes it may not necessarily be you, but it's also good for people to be authentic, inclusive of women leaders. Be yourself. Of course, being a leader, it means you have to learn skills that help you in that leadership position. People say leaders are born, but also they are made. There's a theory in leadership called the tradesman theory, that leaders are born with certain traits. They are bold, they are confident, they are decision makers, authoritative, akisimama hivi unaona leader. Be that as it may, there are also so many things that you can learn to help in your leadership position. You may not even have been born a leader in the sense of kuzaliwa ukiwa na hizo qualities, but you learn. There are things like emotional intelligence, empathy, problem solving skills, decision making skills. What do you need to do before you make decisions? Consult, get feedback, not just back in orders and directives. Are you taking time to listen to also those below you? So it's called, there's top bottom and there's bottom up. But that's a concept he had. Bottom up. Are you getting feedback also? Uwezi kuwa umekaa tu hivyo sasa wewe ndio alpha and omega kama Mungu, like when umesema no. Are you engaging? So there are a lot of things that can be learned to help you be a better leader. So even you see people who find themselves in leadership positions, maybe supervisor amepata job ingine ama amekuita ama ameenda amepochiwa by another company. So wewe jumeka hapo for long, automatically nakasa you're the one to take over. Now maybe you're not born a leader, but you see you've had the experience, you can learn. You can even enroll in not necessarily a leadership course, but there's so much now, there's so much information. Ukwe tu humble kutaka kulearn how to be a better leader. So even with the mask and everything, also be authentic.
I find that to be very, for me, I find a tension there that drains me and exhausts me, because I also wear a mask sometimes. There are things, there are places and situations even at work where I'm gonna wear a mask, and at the same time I highly value authenticity, and then it becomes this strain and tension between the two. Like I want to be authentic, but I need this mask in this situation because of maybe an experience I've had. And that, do you have that experience? Have you ever had that experience in your own life, and how do you navigate that, the tension of needing the mask and at the same time being pulled this side by your own authenticity?
I think it's a double-edged sword. See, when we talk about professionalism demands you to be a certain way. Now, what you've described, again, now there's a battle between that and authenticity. But there are things that, now as I've said, when you are in a certain position or you have certain responsibilities, kuna mahali authenticity pia inafaa ifike. Okay, tuseme you're very chilled, Ni mse wa majokes, uko tu mse easy breezy. Azina kuna kitu kushtua, uko tu chill mode. That is you authentically, and that's okay to some degree. But sometimes when it comes now to, you have responsibilities, there are people you're mentoring and steering a certain way. Mkona goals and objectives, you're supposed to be leading them to a certain path. Sometimes your authenticity yako, it's maybe borrow a few things from it, but also you're borrowing from professionalism. So you can't be a downward spiral where you're letting go, letting go.
Yeah.
You have to find that balance between being professional and being authentic. And it doesn't mean one negates the other. I think they can both coexist. I know what you're saying. Sometimes it's a bit, but I think in a corporate world or a situation that requires you to wear a certain hat, you have to just strike the balance. Would you have a balance without losing yourself? Easier said than done, because a lot of people now lose themselves in that instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for example, if you are a person who likes saying what you think and what you feel, you have to also look at where you are, because then it may cost you. It's a good thing to speak your mind, to say what you want to say, but then are you prepared for the price that may come with, what it will cost you? So you have to, hakuna njia ingine, you have to balance the authenticity. Zingine unakanyagia, itagwa picking your battles. Sio kila kitu uko mreal, you're being yourself, but weigh, pimia, which one, how am I able to strike the balance between both, is how I'd put it.
Nice, like now
Yeah.
you're speaking like a yogi. So this is a perfect segue into yoga,
Yeah.
because when you start to speak of balance
Yeah.
and trying to bring these contradictory ideas and find a commonality and a way to balance, then that is yoga.
Yeah.
So what got you into yoga, and what has been your wellness journey so far?
What got me into yoga? It's interesting because it's one thing I'd never even have thought of. Actually, I remember there's a group of Indians that had come to our workplace on World Yoga Day. It's celebrated in June 22nd. That's a World Yoga Day. Our Hindi ni the Nyeri Indian community. So they wanted the governor who I work for to make a statement about, and then I was laughing. I was like, sasa nani ako na interest na yoga? As in hizi vitu za Hindi. So they even wanted him on video, na tukaenda tukashoot hiyo video akiongea. They had told him what to say. World Yoga Day, yoga is about wellness, mental, physical. It's a fusion of both body, mind, and soul. But at that time, I couldn't have cared less about yoga. Actually, we laughed. We're like, hizi ni vitu gani unafanyisha governor? But we did the statement. Only for me later to be a true yogi in the sense of I believe in it. So anyway, how did I chance upon yoga? There's a lady called Dr. Gasheke. She's a yoga teacher here in Nyeri. So Dr. Gasheke has been abroad for long. She worked in the US. She was an expatriate in very many countries. So that's where she learned yoga. It's a long story. But at the time, I was having health issues. I was struggling with health issues. I'd added a bit of weight. I was trying to see. So one of my friends mentioned, oh, there's this lady offering yoga for free in Nyeri at the golf club, Nyeri Golf Club at 8 a.m. on Saturday. If you're interested, you can come and see. So me, I was like, okay, well, that's my mantra. I usually tell people, when I tell people to come for Toastmasters, and I say, please come. Sit here,
Yeah.
skiza. If you like it, come back. If you don't, usiwahi rudi.
Yeah.
Because then it's so hard to make somebody understand what something is. So the same with yoga. She said, you come. So I came. I went rather. And I loved it. It was a bit hard for me initially. I was that person struggling in class. Mindo kabonge hivi, everybody's looking. So but then I joined, and I was chasing health. I was pursuing certain health objectives. I'll get into what my issues were at the time. But somewhere along the way, okay, I started losing the weight the more I went, but also it is what it did for my mental health. Yoga, watu huwa wana misunderstand because it's from India. So nimeambiwa sijui tuna chant, sijui tuna levitate. Hata sikuwa najua levitate ni nini. Nikaambiwa ati when you're, like you cross your legs like that,
Yeah.
ati unaliftiwa into the air, that's levitation, ati you meditate until unainuka kutoka kwa floor. And I'm like, really, people? But there's a lot of misunderstandings. It's anti-Christian. It's because it's from India. So it's heavily anchored on Indian beliefs, but it does not mean we pray to Indian gods. That is a perception. But anyway, I was coming to the mental health aspect of it because we learn meditation. Even in the Bible, it says, be still and know that I am God. So be still, it is telling you, silence, chill kidogo. As humans, our minds are so cluttered with your to-do list. Ukiamka leo ulikuwa unajua uko na podcast na Carol, sijui after that unaenda, so your mind is hakuna time una take time to just be quiet. So we learn that in yoga, to be chilled, to go into yourself. And then meditation is not that your mind is blank. The human body cannot be blank. Itajana vitu unafaa kufanya that day, your to-do list. But you're taught, if I get into it, it's going to be a long time we're here, but you're taught how to channel your thoughts elsewhere. So I realized it was good for my mental health. We're taught how to breathe. You'd think breathing is just breathing. So you're breathing right now.
Yeah.
Samolina, are you breathing?
Do I need to be taught to breathe?
But when a child does not cry, kakizaliwa, unaonaga ile panic inakuwaga hapo?
Yeah.
Do you know it's the worst thing? They rush that child everywhere. In fact, I have a relative who has schizophrenia now. And later, the mother was being asked, did this child cry at birth? And we realized kalichelewa kulia. That's why they spank the baby. They do everything to make sure the baby cries. Because the moment kakizaliwa kalie, that's how oxygen goes to the lungs immediately and to the head. So every second delayed, it means you're depriving the brain of oxygen. And you end up, this child has issues. So anyway, I'm underlining breath work. We learn how to breathe properly. So, and that's what I was saying, when a child is born. So breath is very important. Hata mtu akikufa inakuwaga nini imehappen?
Breath imeisha.
Breath imeisha. So and when you panic, what do people tell you? Ama you're nervous?
Out of breath.
No, like you're nervous, you're going for an interview, and someone's telling you,
breathe.
Breathe in, breathe out. Because it's actually doing something to your body. So we learn that in yoga. So you learn how to breathe in properly. No, breathe in properly, unasikianga mpaka ni kama balloon. Your belly, breathe out.
Yeah.
So you learn when you're meditating, you're doing that. Yeah. So it's very, very important to calm you down. In fact, mtu amepanic anaambiwa breathe in. It will be okay. By the time unaingia kwa hiyo room, hiyo interview, ama sijui ni kesi umeitwa ukaseme what happened on your end, umebreathe, you've taken a few breaths. So anyway, my experience with yoga, it helped my mental health more than it even did my physical body. My body, I could see benefits, health benefits coming, but my mind was cluttered. There's so much happening. Yoga taught me how to just be easy. And so then I do a lot of other things. I do aerobics, I started golfing. Though golf inataka time, which I never seem to have, but yeah. So I was pre-diabetic. Pre-diabetic means your sugars are higher than normal. They're not high enough to be declared that you're diabetic, but also they're not in the normal range. So you're on the first lane to diabetes. I went to Dr. Kariuki, and he said, if you come back in a month's time with these same measurements, tunakuweka metformin, you know, the diabetics drugs.
No, I don't.
My cholesterol, okay. Both my parents are diabetic, so I'm very predisposed. And I'm coming to a point about how diabetes is imetukalia as a region.
Yeah.
Sijui kama it's part of it is genetic, kama ni lifestyle too, but this region is heavily burdened. You see, like how we say Nyanza, sickle cell, there are malaria, nini, huku diabetes and hypertension zimelemea watu sana.
Central Kenya or Nyeri specifically?
Nyeri is a lot, because I remember doing a story as a journalist that Nyeri was leading in Central. So Central is leading, but ndani ya ile Central
Nyeri
kuna Nyeri.
We are doing something, but this is not why you should be leading. But
no, we shouldn't be leading. We should be leading in this. Anyway, before we get to that point about our statistics as a region. So unaona nimepewa kwa warning. Umeambiwa tuseme leo ni 29th.
Yes.
Umeambiwa rudi 29th ya the next month. Ukikuwa na hizi numbers zimetokea kwa test zako, ndio tunakuweka dawa. But uko na chance ya enda change your lifestyle, change how you eat. Anza kutembea asubuhi, na ni asubuhi my friend, so that your body uses what is inside mafuta as fuel, not food yenye umekula. Mimi huyo kagu, I was like, am I mad? Sangapi? Because I tried to change my eating habits nini. Long story short, when I went back, kwa naamini alikuwa ananiambia zimerudi normal, ni kama mtu alikuwa amekwa dawa. And out of just lifestyle and working out. My cholesterol at the time was also up. Hii time nakwambia niko hapa kwa yoga, nimeanza niko na issues mingi. I had been told I have an autoimmune issue, sijui Hashimoto's, which later hata sikuwa najua hiyo ni nini. Then I came and found, mara I was misdiagnosed, nikaenda mpaka Mpisha kutafuta endocrinologist, na Nyeri hakuna endocrinologist, you know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So when I started yoga, I was going through a lot, health-wise, nini. But I realized, not combining all that, changing what I was eating, starting to work out, doing yoga, a bit of aerobics, walking. Once I walk a lot, walking also really changed my life. So that's why I'm a preacher of a lifestyle that leverages you or propels you into a certain health space you want to be in. Because as we were talking about as a region, I don't know whether it's lack of awareness or what, but also just at the beginning when we're talking about maybe the poverty index of this region, it's people are struggling, yes, but if people are affording a 50 bob for Nduthi, it means, see, people here economically, people are, they're hardworking. In Central, people are hardworking. So distance unaweza tembea kozi jua nini story vumbi, so you'd rather hop on to the nearest Nduthi, na Nduthi tena ziko mingi, because people before, in the past, we didn't have Nduthis, did we? No. People were walking. So now people are not walking. Then as a region, how we eat, in fact at the market, hii soko tu hapa wamama wenye wanauza vegetables, when a woman comes and asks for mchicha, marenda, you know those exotic vegetables, the ones we know people from Western like, which are really good vegetables, they know, wanajuanga huyu si native wa Nyeri, wanasemanga either ni bibi like wa polisi, you know the way like the police station all over, yes, so wanajuanga huyu si mtu wa Nyeri. So there's usually like a certain woman selling certain types of vegetables, but mtu amekuja ameulizia certain hizo mchicha, ama marenda, anajua huyu si wa huko. What does that say? As we eat what? Skuma, cabbage, spinach. Tukijaribu sana ni hizo tatu. Wachezaga hiyo league hapo, you see? But huyu hata ni mwenye amejaribu sana. A lot of times utapata it's rice, potatoes, cabbage. Hiyo ni nini? Starch. Cabbage is okay, but it's not greens, you see? True. Yeah, so then this same person, as much as we're hardworking and we go to the farm, we don't walk. So we have a bit of, in fact, I wish I had those statistics. Nairobi and Central had statistics of the people with the most, you know, their women are obese. Actually, those were the words. Wow. Women, they had been ranked nationally. And those obese, even Coast had. But Central, what are we doing in that list of obesity? Even today, if you dig up statistics, we are leading in obesity.
I have a question there. Because it seems to me, I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but especially as a Mogikoyo, I can say this for sure.
Yeah.
When I got married, my wife is this thin, and there are people literally encouraging her, no, you need to get big. And it's like in our culture, we're encouraging the opposite of what we now know is what is conducive to health. We're encouraging people like, Karo umepata job, sasa, now you need to get a body. What's that about?
It's still back to cultural beliefs that, sasa, unaona kama hata mtu wa Portbelly, anaitwa chairman.
Oh yeah.
Mse anakula mali yake fiti, asumbuki, you're own in your space. You know, that's a misconception. But it's culturally viable then, in that somebody who was wealthy had enough to eat, lacked nothing. So these health concerns, they're the ones that are making us go back to the drawing board. So being big or okay, fat is not politically correct a term to use, but let's just use the word fat.
Yeah.
It comes with a lot of health challenges. And that is why now we are learning out of research, out of the knowledge that is emanating now, we know being of a certain body size, especially this fat here is called visceral fat. Inakwanga kwa tumbo.
Yeah.
It's very bad. You've never seen that joke ati, it's a meme. Na mama wa Kikuyu watanisamea, but you've seen it where they say ukienda baby shower ya Mkikuyu unatoka kama ujui nani alikuwa na ball.
No, I've not seen that.
It's a bad meme. It's a bad meme. I wish if I find that meme, Nikipata hiyo mimi nitakurushia
Hiyo
uone.
sio Mkikuyu alicreate. Wacha nini
Those
na
are not
sisi
my words.
bana.
Si kuenjoyiwa ni
But it's funny.
kudisiwa. Basi msafiri hadi come up na hiyo. But it's a meme that goes around.
Yeah.
But anyway. Hii mafuta hapa ikwagi fiti.
Yeah.
Because inafunika organs. Unaona kila kitu iko hapa?
Yeah.
Pancreas, agahwat, liver, nini zote ziko hii area. So mafuta ina clog. Hivyo ndo unaanza sukari yako, uko na insulin resistance, so you have diabetes, pressure, alafu zinakuaga cousins.
Yeah.
Nika ukipata moja inaitanga hizi zingine.
Yeah.
So we really, as a nation, we need to. There's a documentary on Netflix I'd like you to watch. It's called the Blue what? The Blue Regions or the Blue something. But iko na jina Blue. If you just search Blue, the guy who's done that documentary has gone to regions where the statistics are high for centenarians, people who've hit 100 and over.
Yeah.
Na alienda place mingi uko Italy, just regions where their population statistics ya kama sahi Cube. Hii region yetu tafuta watu wako 100 and over, utapata wangapi?
Very few.
There are few, but there are regions where anapata it's a whole community wamegonga 100 and it's blue something on Netflix. I'll get the name, but you look it up. Just write Blue, it will come. And he was talking to these people about what they do. What is this that is making a lot of tushoshos in this region? Wamegonga so and above. Tukukas. Yeah. And unapata, it's what they're eating. Kwingine ni maybe the valleys where they live. Kwenda church. Nikashosho kako na mkongojo, but lazima kapande. Kamlima kakienda.
Yeah.
Asian countries, Japan. I remember kienda Japan, what they eat and all that. So as a region, we need to look into that. Create awareness campaigns about what we eat and encourage, just encourage workouts and fitness. Kunaona saimaanishi we ni mdosi or unakula mali yako fiti. And kukonda imaanishi pia you are suffering on the flip side of things. Anyway.
It's interesting that there are these cultural things that affect our health so much. And when you talk about yoga, this is another person's culture. So there's this openness to changing culture, which people tend to frown upon.
Za kwenu ni za kwenu na za kwao ni za kwao.
Where do you, but you're saying you got there because you really needed it at that time. But how would you encourage somebody else who's like, culture yangu ni Ogekoyo, and I want to try yoga, even if Ogekoyo is telling me like, Cube sasa, kisha by gari sasa eka katumbo pia ndio. Friend of mine, friends call him, and I'm not, I call him Mheshimiwa. So, just like he has the body, he just looks like this is.
Because you can't be a Mheshimiwa and you're skinny. Something is wrong somewhere.
So
umekaliwa na bibi or some story.
Our culture is encouraging very unhealthy behaviors. Yet there are cultures like you've discovered being a yogi that encourage very, very healthy ways of living, ways that are very conducive to our health. So how would you encourage somebody to hold their culture a little lightly and be open to ideas like that come from India?
Be open-minded. And for instance, kama si yoga inakubamba, kama unasikia it's not your thing. But then, what's your thing? You have to have a thing. Basi kimbia, enda Rurengo kimbia, ama anza tembea. Nyeri you can cover. Unaweza toka Posta na uteremke ufike Kamukunji na urudi. Do something. Because soon, your blood work at the hospital, uende PGH or wherever, it's gonna show your levels are bad. Sasa hapo hakuna kutambua culture.
True.
Culture yako ikusaidii. In the sense of you're diabetic. Culture imekusaidia wapi? So be open-minded. Be ready to embrace better habits, good habits that will sustain you. Because we take health for granted. Like you're healthy Cube now. But there's somebody somewhere ameshindwa kutoka bed. Ama ako strapped na ma cables in a hospital ward sahi. So we like taking health for granted. Ati uliamka ukiwa fiti na inafaa kwa hivyo. But sometimes you have to have a sense of gratitude, which by the way has helped me in my day-to-day life. Kukwa na gratitude. Like you wake up and you're thanking God for what is working. As human nature, we like lamenting about what is not. Focus yako inakuwaga vitu haziwork, vitu zinakufanya ukwe down. We forget to actually count things. But glass half full and half empty. Hii chupa nimekunywa actually halfway, right?
Yeah.
Let's assume it's half. Actually, let me see if ndio iko half ya ukweli. Tuko half. Let's work with half. Unaona nini?
A glass half full.
but it is also.
half empty.
So it's a matter of perspective, Cube. You can choose to be grateful for the water that is there, hata kama ni kidogo.
Yeah.
And the same truth is also you can choose to wine why haijaja. So it's a matter of perspective in life. And utalia hauna kiatu until you find someone hana miguu aliamputetiwa juzi.
Yeah.
Sasa story yako ya kiatu inakuwa it's a non issue. Unaona? Yeah. So cultivating a sense of gratitude. So your question, be open-minded, be ready to learn and have a good vibe. Be of good cheer, good spirit. Yeah. And utake pia mtu wa kujituma. You know, there's a thing about discipline and motivation. Unafikiria kuona movie na venye kunanyesha sahi.
Yeah.
Ama ku-workout. Gani raha?
A movie.
Exactly.
Unaendaje
sijuu kuzurura kama wazimu. You know, but now, you see, if you're relying on motivation, utakaa chini uone hiyo movie. But if you're relying on discipline, you'll work out. Discipline. Mara ngapi mimi natokaga job niko na stress za ofisi. Nastaki kwenda gym. Na tuko na aerobics, like we do aerobics Tuesday 5:30.
Yeah. I'd
rather go home, toanishe manguo. Kwanza venye sisi kitu ya kwanza inakuwaga kutoa ile something.
Yeah.
Kwenda kabisa gongesha huko. You want to go home.
Yeah.
But discipline is what will make you stop at the gym. Unataka kula machipo, na chipo si mbaya.
Yeah.
But huwezi kula Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Jiambia ni Friday kama unazitaka sana.
Yeah.
But if you go with motivation, you will not eat right. You will eat what you want. So discipline over motivation any day. Ukigona na discipline, you want to go wrong. And I tell my child, I have a 17-year-old son. I tell him discipline over motivation. There are so many days you won't want to do something. Ujisikie kiubaki walai utaki.
Yeah.
Hauna psyche, watu sema sina psyche. But discipline ndio itafanya. Yeah.
Thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. I've really had fun getting to learn about wellness and the balance. I think when we started out, I was setting up this stage that I've experienced, and we've heard from Carol how yoga can help one get that balance, and also how it has helped her in her own life. And now when we come back, we're going to be doing a final round where we get to hear about some of the things that Carol is grateful for and other stuff that she enjoys in her own life that we can also learn from her, and discipline. I'm very curious about discipline. So thank you so much. Be back in a minute. Welcome back to the final segment of this episode. We've had yoga, we've had wellness, we've had journalism, we've had power, politics, and now we're just going to wrap it all up and hear some final thoughts from Carol on having fun, like living life, and also the lessons you've taken from this journey, because it's an amazing journey from Standard Media Group to, not like from the young girl who loved Kiswahili to Standard Media Group, to County Government of Nyeri, and pre-diabetic, cholesterol high, to taking care of yourself, from Ikoyo culture encouraging us like the more nona the better, to you realizing you need a different approach to your life that works for you and finding that. When we stopped, you were telling me about discipline and motivation, and how if I wait until I ever feel like doing it, I will never feel like doing it. But discipline, I was taught, discipline was external. It was me, a child, or maybe a student, and there was a certain authority out there, a teacher, a parent, somebody with power, authority, who enforced discipline for me.
Yeah.
What enforces it for you?
All right, thanks, Cube. Quite intriguing thoughts you have there. Indeed, you've talked about discipline as we knew it when growing up. It was something you did because you were avoiding certain repercussions of not doing it. For example, being worked properly by your teacher.
Yeah.
That's the mindset we grew up in. But discipline, there's something we call self-discipline. And self-discipline is a subset of self-leadership. You know, we talk about leadership, but we don't talk about self-leadership enough. Self-leadership is something I'm passionate about, and I picked it along the way, along my journey of growing up. Let me give you an example. Can you condemn your team members or those under you for lateness when you yourself come late? You don't have the moral authority.
True.
Or you're calling them lazy. Now wewe ndio poster boy wa laziness, you see.
Yeah.
So self-leadership, and it calls for a lot. Self-leadership calls for something I now really firmly believe everybody should try and learn because it's learnable. That is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Just because you get angry quickly doesn't give you the right to lash out at people. Self-leadership calls for self-awareness. Ukishasikia unaanza kujam, take a walk, do something. You're not a prisoner of your emotions. Or you understand people why they behave the way they do.
Yeah.
That's self-leadership, emotional intelligence, and it calls for you to introspect yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Because a lot of people don't take time to understand themselves as a weakness. And I'll give you the example of temperamental. Because you're pissed doesn't mean now you have the right to ban people around you. Your wife, your kids, you're just yelling, your workmates, people under you at work, your colleagues. But a lot of people do.
Yeah.
You just ban people. Atitodo nyurakaraga. See, it's not right.
True.
Or you're lazy. The other example I'd given. You know you're lazy. Manzizi vyombo hazitajiosha. You see self-leadership, self-introspection, emotional intelligence makes you understand yourself. So at some point utaamka uzioshe because unaelewa you're lazy, but discipline has to. If you exercise it, you'll get where you want to go. So in a lot of ways, and that's why I was saying, even motivation, we have external motivation, and which is called extrinsic, and we have intrinsic. We are encouraged to have intrinsic. You say, like you and your girls, your three girls that you're raising.
Yeah.
There's something we are told to tell children of that age. You tell them, like you can tell Washo when she's of age to understand, you must be so proud of yourself, as opposed to, I am so proud of you. You get the difference? You must be so proud of yourself, as opposed to, I am proud of you. Of course, daddy issues. At some point, she will need to hear, I'm proud of you as daddy, coming from daddy. But when you say you must be proud of yourself, she starts, or rather she grows up, realizing that intrinsic motivation is important. I do not have to wait for external validation or affirmation from people. Because hii dunia ni ngumu. We wait for external validation from our wives, from our husbands, from our bosses, from our friends, and none is forthcoming. Huyu msee ako na mashida zake. You're waiting to be filled by somebody who has not filled their cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
True.
So we must learn to have that self or internal drive. Validate yourself. So the lessons that I've picked along the way in that, I mean, there's a point, of course, you're looking for external validation from when you're a young woman, relationships. Hiyo by the way inaweza to last up another podcast.
That's next episode
Si
with Carol.
nimekapitia. Wacha tu. Nitarudi. Mambo ya mapenzi tuziongea leo sana. But anyway, you see, but once you're self-fulfilled in that you love yourself, you appreciate yourself, mwenye atakuja kukujaza na that affirmation is good, they're coming to supplement to what you already have. But a lot of people are empty, waiting to be filled by somebody who's already struggling with their own things. Unangoja mtu akuvalidate na yeye mwenyewe hata hajielewi. Yeye mwenyewe ana need, some work, some inner work. So yeah, basically, and gratitude, I mentioned gratitude. I have gone through a lot of challenges. At the age I am at, na sitasema. People tell me I'm younger than I look.
Yeah.
Naambianga mtu age yangu kwa Samali ulianza kunisikia kitambo. So I'm not a young girl. Lakini nimekataa kuwa kama the young girl. So I've learned a lot of lessons. I've picked a lot of lessons along the way. But gratitude, gratitude uskuma mtu. Ku appreciate kitu iko. Because ukijaribu kufocus na vitu haziwork, mazi utashinda hapo. Because you'll find so many things in your life that are not right. Si si mapenzi, sio watoto, sio nini. Yaani utaona vitu mingi. Kwanza ukijicompare. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
You will see your peers, your age mates, people you're with are here, you're not there. So unaanza kujidharau, nini. So you have to have a sense of gratitude and be grateful for what is working even as you hope. You see, hope keeps people wanasemaga hope sustains mankind. So even as you hope for better tidings, even as you hope for better things to come your way, better chapters of your life, just be grateful for what is there. Hauna kiatu, unalia, ngoja ukutana na mtu ana mguu, utanyamaza, and so on and so forth. Yeah, you're just about transition from
Now, before that, I
media.
want to hear first.
Yeah. Oh,
I want to hear
okay.
what Carol is grateful for that's working in her life, or
Yeah.
that is in her life,
Yeah.
that's real, that you're grateful for. What's Carol grateful for today?
All right. First of all, the Mudo Kyobe, as I sit here, I'm grateful for something called health. And that's what I was saying, a lot of times we take it for granted.
Yeah.
That you're healthy, na ilifai kuwa hivyo. Uliamka fiti. Do you know people don't even take time to be grateful for that until you've been through a certain journey and you realize health is not something to be taken granted for. It's something to be cultivated. It's something to be tended to, like a flower.
Yeah.
You know, in a garden, you have to water it. So I'm grateful for health, and because of the experience I've told you, and I had a lot of health issues actually.
Yeah.
And I mean, being told you have something like Hashimoto's, and like, what is that? You have to look it up, and you're told it's an autoimmune condition. Are you stressed at work? Your body seems to be reacting to some kind of stress. And then later you're told, no, you did not have Hashimoto's. I say, oh, umepampiwa steroids like 6 months. You've blown up. Yeah, it was a lot. So I'm grateful for health. And that's why I do all this and talk to people about lifestyle. Like my friend recently was diagnosed as hypertensive. I'm the one encouraging her, no, it's not the end of the world. Just change because she's a little big na ni mse wa soft life.
Yeah.
Kwa nini ujitese? Mapochopocho ndio zake. Namwambia pana, amka twende tizi.
Yeah.
And you know, she's starting to appreciate that. So I preach that gospel. I also am a mother, as I'd mentioned. My boy, Aki, he'll be 18 next year. He's 17 now. Soon to be out of the nest. Wow, that's quite something. But I thank God for him. Children give you a purpose, give you direction. Even when sometimes you feel like there's despair, you have something to live for. You're responsible for someone, and not just physically, just because they've shibad and they have clothes and they have a roof. No, that's bare minimum.
True.
It's how you mold this person. You try your best. Of course, there are children who've been brought up right, but they still turn out some type of way. I mean, you've seen siblings together, brought up by the same parents,
Yeah.
raised same, but huyu aliamua kufuta banki, huyu akaamua kusoma. So you cannot always, you know, predetermine the outcome, but you do your best by this kids or kid. So I'm grateful for him. His name is Sean. Sean, if you see this, Mama's proud of you.
Shout out, Sean.
Shout out. Yeah, he's growing up well. The other day he was made a prefect in the school. It's a big deal because we were called and there was a whole ceremony about it. And unatolewa tai yenye ulikuwa nayo unavalishwa sasa mpya, blazer inaongezwa band. So yeah,
Oh, congratulations, Sean. Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. And that's why sometimes see I'm saying you may focus on things that aren't there. You know, people ask you, kwani hujaipata mwingine? You know, that kind of thing, but they don't understand maybe what you've been through. So it's easy to focus on things that are a bit wishy-washy, not where you'd want to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I'm grateful for just, should I say life? I know I said health, but overall, my parents, they're very supportive.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm a daddy's girl. He's awesome,
Yeah.
Mr. Nderi. Shout out. Fafa. Actually, I call him daddy. I grew up in Nairobi. There's no even for Fafa with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's daddy and mommy. They're good people. So I thank God for them. And I have 2 siblings. Yeah. So, but then if you have an appreciative attitude towards life,
Yeah.
see, they say you smile at the universe will smile back at you.
Yeah.
And you had somebody to mark World Mental Health Day. People who are struggling with mental health, sometimes it's not because unaweza angalia msee uko like shida yako ni you seem to have things working out for you. You have a good job, you have a good husband or a good wife, you have good kids, but ujui challenges za huyu mtu.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're dealing with. I have someone in my life somewhere along the path. I will not say which area because, you know, there's the professional me who's at work. There's the me who's a relative to some people. But someone who was diagnosed with MDD juicy, and I had to Google what MDD is. It's major depressive disorder.
Oh.
And they went to see their counselor, and they were asked, who do they trust most? And they dropped my name, and I had to get a call from the counselor. So it's someone I'm helping in this journey. So people are struggling with a lot. They're dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
So just, if I'm not saying they're not grateful, but sometimes when you see, if you just adopt a different mindset, sometimes it helps you along the way, because it is easy to look at what's not working. Yeah, so gratitude is something I try to live by the best I can. It wasn't always that way. Sinakwambia ni rahisi kuona vitu haziwaka.
Yeah.
Nafaa kuwa hapa, siko hapa. Nafaa kuwa na hii, sina hii.
Yeah.
Beshte zangu wako na hii, wewe una hii. So ushinde hapo, but it doesn't help. It inspires you to pia wewe upate kenye wako nao, but usishindililia hapo. Just be grateful. Jo, kuna mtu anakuangalia Cube, nasema I wish I could be like Cube. Like mchangiwe lives. Achukue life yako vile iko. Wewe no maybe kuna tushida hapa na pale.
Yeah.
Unataka hiyo yako, uchukue yake. So
Atajinyonga. Don't try, don't.
uchukue yako. Yeah, no uko fiti man. Yeah, but
thank you. I like that, and the way you share it. Like one feels your gratitude and how you ground yourself in what's present. I think that's probably something that you also get from yoga, the essence of what's here now, not just what's in my mind. I think,
yeah.
because most of the comparisons, the things I'm wishing for, those are all just thoughts in my mind. But the here now, you've called it life. But life can be very beautiful just here as it is.
If you re-engineer your focus.
Yeah. I want to hear some of the things you're grateful for in your transition from corporate to politics. Let me just call it politics, because you deal with a lot of politics, even in the county government. So how was that transition like? And in the end, is there something you are grateful for having made that switch?
It has been a journey. I think I had alluded, or actually did say, maybe a part of me when I was transitioning from active mainstream media, you are carrying your professional self to the next job, and you know you're taking a professional expertise or something close to it to your new workplace, but you realize that's not enough. There's more that's needed. And in this case, as you are rightly saying, politics. It's an office within a political setup. So you cannot just look at it as, I've come to just write speeches and I've just come to coordinate media, and you have to look at it holistically. And that's dealing with the politics of the day, whether you like it or not. So like during campaigns, my boss got in second term and he was voted in by a majority 65%. Campaigns, hata za US ama za wapi, there's a lot that happens. Sasa niuze secrets of the trade hapa kweli. Things we have to do.
Educate us.
No, I'm saying from a communications perspective, from a media perspective. You see, sometimes you find propaganda being perpetuated against your boss.
Yeah.
What are you forced to do? Hit back with the same propaganda. So what are you doing? Concocting things against your opponent because they started. Walianza.
Yeah.
So nakwambia there are things you do chini ya maji that I'd rather not talk about.
Yeah.
So you realize your job also requires you to be politically astute in some sense. And the value system in politics may not sometimes align with your value system as Cube.
Yeah.
Maybe you believe in saying the truth, the nice values. Then you realize, so people are lying about you. You're forced to lie about them back. Like that muguyo to go. You know that saying, the arrow for at night.
Oh yeah.
Is thrown back at night.
Yeah.
Like it's in a rudisho, same way. Same philosophy. But overall, as I said, I miss the media. You'd meet different kind of people. Today you're dining with kings, really.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you are handling an assignment with humble people who don't even know where the next meal will come from. Uko, I mean, nimekuwa at a state house, but kesho uko tuseme Majei or someplace.
Yeah.
So it makes you have a very wide perspective about life. You're interacting with all kinds of people. That does something to you, a good thing, in that you come to have different facets of life. You can't be in a bubble. You can't live in your little bubble. That exposes you to different situations. And part of the gratitude I was talking about, you look at things around you, at people around you, and you're like, okay, yeah, different perspectives. You get to understand people. You deal with people with born with silver spoons, almost they lack for nothing, but it doesn't mean they're happy either. People with money, the perception is that they're okay, they're happy. You find they have their own set of challenges.
Yeah.
Like the person I'm telling you was diagnosed with MDD recently is not somebody who does not have financial muscle. So all of that, that is what journalism does to you. It exposes to different situations, and when you get to help people, because I did a lot of stories to help people. I remember there was a young man I did a story on in Kibera or Kibra, as you'd like to call it, depending on where you're affiliated. He had been shot during the post-election violence, and one of the bullets got his butt. Sorry, excuse my French. His derriere.
Yeah.
Do you know that area is so hard to heal, as you've had, literally. And I went to Kibera so many times to do a story about him, and he was just caught up in the, mavijana nini, then
Yeah.
bullets. George Ndonga, he later died years
Oh.
later, but I did so many stories for him and about him, and a lot of activists came on board, tried to help him, because I found him in the house in Kibera, living with his mother. It's a single room, and the stench was so bad, Cube, because it had started rotting.
Oh.
It was that bad.
Did he die from the same wound or from something
Later,
different?
we got him. My stories brought an organization called Youth for Action. They came and took him to hospital, took care of his hospital bills, because nakwambia, somebody living in Kibera, you can tell financially they're not that okay, because it was a small structure, but the wound, because of where it is, it's not healing. You go to the dispensary, wanapaka paka sijui nini,
Yeah.
so it started rotting from inside. The smell was so bad. The cameraman I was with gagged. Alifika kwa mlango, unaona mchanganikiwa. Then me niko hapo, you have to still do the story. You want to puke, you can't, It was a very, very sad story. Kwanza it aired at the 7 p.m. bulletin at 9, and people were calling the newsroom asking for my number. They got a lot of help. So such gratification in that you are able to help. Later he died, unfortunately. And I remember when he died, I found a missed call on my phone. But he died like 3 years later after I've done the story. He had gone to hospital. But by the time he was getting treatment, the wound was so advanced, so it needed a lot of, but at least make his life a bit better, manage his pain, just that the wound was too advanced. But ile manage pain, taking care of better food, doing better, but he had even sort of become paralyzed because he couldn't walk. George, may you rest in peace. Yeah, so the stories I've done, yeah. So I miss making an impact in that way, but also the work that I currently do now. You see, you're responsible as government. You are there to cater to the needs of people, to ensure that they have better livelihoods. So you have a sense of responsibility. Like my office, we are tasked with communicating to the people. How will they know the subsidized fertilizer if you don't tell them? How will they know there's a men's health camp that is free to be checked prostate cancer if you do not do that job of telling them? If you don't get feedback from them back to government, that you've seen white elephant projects a lot in many areas. Not Nyeri, not this regime, obviously, but you've heard of white elephants.
Yeah.
None under Governor Kariuki, may say, but you've heard of them because maybe public participation was not done. People maybe did not pick out the projects they wanted. You decided for them and imposed projects. So communication is important, that you get feedback from the people and also you communicate to the people. So in that sense, it is gratifying that you are able to pass on an important message and also get what they're saying and bring it back to the policymakers to the decision makers that this is what people are saying, this is what people are saying. Of course, with the politics of the day, it becomes twisted. There's that professional part of communication, but then there's all this politics. And you see, sometimes there are things that, should I say, every government has. There's a professional communicator, but because of the politics, you have, sitaki kuwaita goons ama, okay, uko na bloggers wengine wenye some are good, some are not good. Kwenye vijimambo, you have the ones you can work with because they're good at blogging. Then you have others are guns for hire. The highest bidder, mwenye amelipa more ndio wanaimba story yake. So you deal with all of that, it becomes a bit chaotic. Yeah, so there's that side of things. But by and large, just being able to get feedback from them and also pass on the message, it's gratifying because it's a huge responsibility. If it's a government of the day, you were elected by people who had faith in you. So they're expecting you to also change their lives in the sense or in the way that you promised to do in your manifesto for campaign.
Yeah.
In your annual development plans, are you considering the people? And I must say, all those considerations are important. Let me add, Cube. There are regions where people are very dependent on government. Na sitaki kusema ni populations zenye zimesota. But there are people who hata food hawana, so they have to wait for government to hand out supplies and all that. In this region, fortunately or unfortunately, people are economically, hakuna mtu ako hiyo degree yenye, people are hardworking here. Kwa shamba ako na greens, hata akikosa kitu yoyote ako na ugali na greens. There are regions where hata climate ya huko haiallow, so ile gorogoro tapewa mkebe ya maize na beans na serikali. So some people worship governments in some regions. Here, people are a bit self-reliant. And people who are self-reliant also don't worship the government. Itakuwa tu ni criticism. Amfanyi because huyu ni mtu ameenda kwa shamba yake akachuna madharo, kapika na sembe, ameshiba, watu wao wameshiba.
Yeah.
So government is not a god. Kuna kwenye wanaona government ni god. Nisipo praise songs zao nimelala njaa, watu wao wamelala njaa.
Yeah.
So here, regions that are empowered, criticism pia inakuwaga juu. Watu wako empowered, literacy levels za Nyeri ziko juu sana, for example. 98% actually, watu wamesoma.
Wow.
Even statistics za smartphones, people here are well off in terms of empowerment. Not well off your door, well off your empowerment. Being literate, which is a very important thing. So we are, hata shinda akiimba songs zako ati serikali imetusaidia. They will criticize you accordingly. But also, even if you're being criticized, have you delivered to the sense of a bit of satisfaction to a certain degree? And if not, go back to the drawing board. But the money is not usually enough. People assume Gava has a lot of money. You've been hearing watu walipo mishahara in counties. I'm sure you've heard. 2 months in, 3. Their counties 3 months. People don't have salaries. Huyu ndo unasema kona do kwa government. You get. People assume there's a lot of money, but like even when we run out of maybe drugs in PGH,
Yeah.
the government really tries to ensure the hospitals are stocked. But you see, the problem I was telling you of, for example, high diabetes rates and hypertension. Unapata dawa za kwanza zimeisha. Ni za diabetes and hypertension. Yeah. Maybe they brought enough to supply the population to up to a certain quarter, like from this month to this month. But because people are really struggling with these lifestyle conditions, zinaisha before, and yet you had made projections, you had made estimates, but drugs are still running out. Those are some of the challenges. So money is never really enough. I know there's the whole issue of corruption and thievery and all that. But by and large, to a large extent, I'd say resources are never enough.
Yeah.
They're never enough. But like the person I work for, that is Governor Kariuki, honestly, I'll give him his flowers. That man is always in the office. We have governors wanashindanga Nairobi. Wanaendanga ushago, maybe mazishi kuonekana. This one is always here. He comes to offices to check what people are doing. He's very meticulous. Uko uwezi iba ovyo ovyo.
Yeah.
Unless sijui ukose tu kushikwa. He ensures corruption is it's almost non-existent because he really checks, he gets reports from departments every week. He's very meticulous and prudent. Even resources, how they're spent. Because you see, he's getting weekly reports. Every Friday, departments have to send a report. And he reads them.
Yeah.
And he will ask, in this report, paragraph 3, you said ABCD. Atakuita, please clarify. You see, he's a very hands-on guy.
Yeah.
So I know he does his best for the people. And I'm proud to work in a setup like that where you have the people in mind. Yeah, but of course, akukosagi challenges, hizo ziko. Yeah.
Okay.
Am I enjoying living media to join politics? Sips water. Let's just say it's a bit of everything.
Yeah.
It has its highs and lows. Yeah. Highs and lows, different experiences. But also lessons I've picked in my years in the county. Lessons very important in hindsight. Wherever I shall end up in future stations or wherever I shall be in future, there are lessons I have picked now that are going to be very impactful and helpful moving forward. Yeah.
Do you want to share one of those? Because I can tell
Just
when
being
you
a strong
started,
person, for example.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. That
Nachagua ka softy.
when you started out,
Yeah.
you were
Nilikuwa
very soft,
softy.
but
Professional
being in
softy.
this setting has toughened you up a bit.
Yeah,
and
because
has
of what you're having to deal with. Politics is not for the faint-hearted. You see, it's muscle play. You asking about power. It's ngangani word for. No one gives you power. It's not handed on a silver platter. You fight for it. And fighting means sometimes you have to wear different capes on. So it has made me resilient. It has made me strong. Vitu ndogo ndogo ndo hazinikoseshangi usingizi. You know, you become essentially very strong, and also you still underlying the strength, you worry about things that matter. You stop worrying about the little trivial things of life, because life has a lot of
yeah.
but you learn to pay attention to things that matter, things that you can do something about, because sometimes you're worrying about things you can't change, which is what we do a lot as people, as humans. Yeah. All right. Cube, you're familiar with the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah.
It is one of those prayers that really makes sense to me, because then you're appealing to God. All of us have different faiths, different senses of worship. There's a Muslim who believes in Allah, but there's a God, and there's an Indian, and there's a Buddhist, and there's a monk somewhere. We all subscribe to different faiths, but there's an overriding commonality of believing there's a deity, there's a God, there's an almighty, there's a divine superpower that is above us. So the Serenity Prayer talks about asking God to give you wisdom to change what you can change, but also to distinguish the difference with those that you cannot, and also as you pray to Him to give you the acceptance of accepting those that you cannot change. Because in life then there are situations where you're hoping to change some things, but they are cast in, so you cannot change, but then you're praying for the grace and the willpower to accept these things, acceptance. But also, God, give me the wisdom to change what I can. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you're not a believer, that still applies to basic sense, in the sense of accepting what can't be changed and knowing what it is that you can change. In all facets of life, in all spheres of your life, if you look at your life, there's the worker you, there's the husband you, there's the father you, there's the friend you, there's the sibling you, there's the child you to your parents or to people, you know, your aunties and uncles. You're somebody to, so you're faced with a lot of circumstances in life that there are things you have to accept them for what they are, but also there are things that you don't accept. And this is when you're saying, give me the wisdom to be able to change them. Yeah. So the Serenity Prayer makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm not even that Bible thumping person who's very religious. I'm not a religious fanatic, but there are things that just make sense to me. And also, maybe what I can say overall is just the lessons that I've picked up, as you had asked in reference to your question. Being resilient, being resilient, having resilience, being stoic, being strong, having a certain aptitude. And that is why I brought in the serenity prayer. What you can change, you have the wisdom to change. You have analytical skills, you have decision making skills. What can I do about the situation? Here, what can you do about this? If it's a conversation you need to have,
Yeah.
But also there are things really you have to accept them for they are and accept that this is how things are and I can't do much about it. Because we worry even about things we cannot do anything about. As human beings, I think we worry. We are warriors. Nasila warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior you ingine you worry about things you cannot change here. So but the experience has made me resilient, strong, and not nonchalant. Nasim to hana chills, but just picking your battles, giving attention to things that matter, and ignoring those that don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And thanks for having me on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great talking to
One
you.
final one.
Sure.
Are you appointed by governor? Are you going out with him, or is your position permanent within the county?
My position is an appointee because governor's press, the governor of the day in any county, it's an appointed position. But there are counties where there is communication department entirely different from press. So in Nyeri, there's that creation happening right now to create a communications wing and press, to have a press wing. Press is existing right now where I am, but usually to cater to the appointing authority. Yeah. So to answer you in short.
I wish, personally, I wish they had a permanent position for you, because I like the work that you're doing with the governor. That's the feedback I want you to take back. You said part of your role is to help, is to collect feedback and take it back to the governor. Part of my feedback is that I hope there's a permanent communications position.
I see you wish me well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Cube. Yeah. Thanks for wishing me well.
This is a wrap. Another episode done. Thank you so much, Carol, for showing up. And thank you so much for watching to the end. If you've been watching since the beginning to now, you are a hero. To me personally, because this channel would not exist without you. Please like, if you've not liked, share, subscribe. Let's get as many people on this channel so that we can keep getting as more amazing guests like we got with Carol today. My main takeaway is practice of gratitude. Take care of yourself. Try to balance multiple perspectives. Carol is a Mkikuyu, she's a yogi, she's a Christian, as you can hear, and she holds all those and uses what works for. And she's also a very tough political lady. I might add.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I?
So it's been an amazing episode. Keep watching and looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
All right, guys, thank you for joining in this podcast. I'm Vukisha. I've had such a lovely time. Some areas of introspection, of course, and sharing lessons, sharing my experiences. Not everything has been rosy, so some good, some not so good, but it's part of life. Some days are good, some are not so good as we'd like. Some situations are not what we'd hope for, some work out, some do not. So I've enjoyed being in this podcast. Thank you, Cube, for having me. And Samolin, thank you as well for capturing these moments and immortalizing them. So, friends and everybody who's watching, I'd like to request you humbly to subscribe to this podcast. It's on YouTube. It's called Amvukisha. Amvukisha. So please join in, subscribe so that you get to hear more from different people, because that way you grow. In life, we grow by just hearing about other people's experiences, their journeys they've undertaken, what they've had to deal with. So all of that, once you subscribe, you're going to be able to tune in and get different perspectives about life from different people from all walks of life. So it's been lovely being here, and thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Cheers. Have a good one.